Good morning. You're listening to Insurance Matchmaking, your path to health, life, and Medicare coverage with Matt Libby Insurance. And now, sharing his knowledge, here's your host, Matt Libby.
Good morning and welcome back to Insurance Matchmaking. I have a guest today, a very special guest, because it does relate to the insurance field, but also one of the other subjects that's dear to my heart is veterans, as you know, being one myself. So I have Miss Tracy Chamberland from Caris Healthcare. She is the volunteer coordinator there. Now, Tracy, is that where you started with Caris, or did you move into that position after being with them a while?
That's where I started with them. I've been there, was 2 years in September. So.
Okay. Had you did the similar work somewhere else, or?
Yes and no. I was, started out as a CNA and then moved on to activity director and then went to Caris for volunteer coordinator. So they all kind of mismatch.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard you tell some of your story, how you got where you are and stuff. And, of course, as my wife likes to say, I've slept since then. So I don't remember all of what struck you about that position or attracted you to that position, because it's not, I know a lot of people probably don't even realize the position exists.
They don't. Some people don't even know what I do.
Yeah.
I absolutely love my job. I get to go out and be in the community. I get to do things for the community. A big thing with my job is the veterans, which is near and dear to my heart. My dad is was a veteran. He spent 20 years in the Army and then 17 years civil service in the Navy. So I grew up on Army bases. And so it's just a special place in my heart.
You have an uncle that was also Navy?
I have an uncle who spent, I think, 30 years in the Navy and then went on to work for the Navy civil service also.
I remembered that from your story.
Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of, and plus numerous other, family members down the line. So
we're going to talk about the Wreaths today, but what are some of the other activities you do as the volunteer coordinator?
Well, my biggest job as a volunteer coordinator is that I look for volunteers.
Yeah.
We have volunteers that sit with our patients. We have veteran volunteers that sit with our veteran patients. Okay. And then we have admin volunteers that come into the office, and then we have special projects volunteers that make things for us, and I take them out to our patients. Okay. So, handmade items.
Now, are youth able to do this? Because I know, like, a lot of times now, especially for college applications and high school, they have to have volunteer hours. Are they able to do that also?
You have to be 16.
Okay.
Now, to be a special projects volunteer, you don't. There's no age limit on that. But as far as sitting with patients and working in the office, you have to be 16.
Okay. So if anybody's out there looking for volunteer hours, and they're at least 16,
yes,
or even if they're 14 or 15, some of the other activities they're able to do, but to get those volunteer hours as they're older, scouts and such also. So anyways, I mentioned the Wreaths, that's a big undertaking. Had great support from Averett last year. I'm sure we have that again this year. They're also very good at supporting veterans. And yes, I was out there freezing with you last year.
It was so cold.
But I guess you're doing things a little different this year. Going to start out at the courthouse, I believe I heard.
Yeah, little different. Well, this whole thing kind of came about. I sent wreaths for my dad and my uncle before I had my job with Caris, and then got the job and had to do so much for the veterans that I chose that to be my big project. To find out also that there's a lot of people in Tennessee that don't know about Wreaths Across America. I'm originally from Connecticut. We moved here 4 years ago. So I took it on, and we did wonderful last year. I mean, it took us forever to walk that cemetery and find the veterans, but we were able, with the help of sponsors, and Randy Porter was a huge help to me last year and this year. We were able to cover all 500 veterans last year in the cemetery. Well, come to find out, Crestlawn does it. And when I had looked on to send my dad and my uncle a wreath, there was nobody in the area that I could find that was registered with Wreaths Across America. So I had to have my wreath sent to Nashville. So that's how kind of bothered me, and then I got the opportunity to fix it. So then to find out Crestlawn was actually doing it, and there's a cemetery in Livingston that does it.
Okay.
So I decided to reach out to Linda, who does the Crestlawn Cemetery, and we decided to combine for the ceremony. So what we're doing is we're going to have the ceremony at the courthouse, 11 o'clock, December 16th, and then we will branch off to our cemeteries to place the wreaths. So that's a little bit how it's different this year.
So you can, I guess, still pre-position the wreaths, but the ceremony's not going to be at the cemetery.
Right. We're going to put the wreaths again. We had them in a big wreath, a huge wreath.
Yeah.
Last year, we placed all the wreaths, and then people took them from there and placed them on the graves. So that will all still be the same.
Okay.
But I'm a little worried about people, coming to the ceremony and then coming to the cemetery. I'm hoping we don't lose a few.
They don't. You just come for the ceremony.
Yeah, because we need help placing those
right.
wreaths. So that's how we'll see how it goes this year.
Well, the dates work out great for me because that's after the deadlines in the healthcare enrollment. So it's like it's a day that I don't have to worry about. Oh gosh, I'm not able to work today because this time of year I work Saturdays. It's just the nature of the. I have a running joke, and a lot of times people don't get it, but it's from October to December. I am really busy.
Yeah.
The rest of the year I have to work.
Yeah.
Because it's just kind of automatic. The phone rings, the emails come in, we run the appointments, and then in the day it's like, okay, did I get everything done today? Because I need to get something to eat and crash so I can do it all over again tomorrow.
Well, it's the end of the year. People want their stuff. So
right, and then everybody wants, well, schedule this, let's do this holiday thing, and let's do this. And I'm like, I don't have time to do that now. I'm like an accountant, at tax time. It's the same thing. It's just you're real busy. But to get there and to keep the business growing, we have to work all year at it. So do you I know last year it was you were of course soliciting donations. Are you kind of is this year funded and you're more concerned with having volunteers to help with the wreaths, or is there still funding needed? Where are we standing
this year? Actually, just on Tuesday was funded.
Okay.
I was getting a little nervous about that, but Randy Porter came in with some checks, so we're good this year. Now, Crestlawn, they are still in need of funds.
Okay.
So, because Linda normally she just does the little veteran part of Crestlawn Cemetery, and she chose this year to walk the cemetery, and there are over 1,000 veterans now in that cemetery. She knows that they won't probably all get covered this year, but that's her mission going forward.
Wow. Yeah, that is huge.
That's
now,
a lot.
And you mentioned the Livingston Cemetery. Are they doing everything separate? It's just Crestlawn here in Cookeville?
Yeah, they'll do theirs separately.
So, and do you know who the point of contact is for that? Because some of my listeners maybe want to participate in that.
I am not sure who that contact is. I think I have it at the office, but I met him actually when I had the Wreaths Across America educational mobile unit that was here in June. So I met him there. I'm going to try and get that back next year also. And maybe get a little bit more participation with that.
And as I always mention, if you go to insurancematchmaking.com, there's a place there for comments, basically to, it's set up that, hey, ask a question you'd like to have on the show. But, if you are, in the Livingston area and want to participate with that cemetery, because that's where you live, you may have relatives there, and so you're not going to come to Cookeville to participate with us. I'm sure I can get that, get your information to Tracy. We can get that to you. And that's the beauty of the internet. It doesn't take long to get information passed. Sometimes it's not the greatest thing, but so we've got a little bit of time. We're here. I want to make sure before we go to the break, I think I've given you plenty of time to cover. Tell us a little bit about the history of the wreath.
I could talk about Wreaths
Across
America all day. Wreaths Across America started in 1992. There's a little man, I can never pronounce his name right, Morrill Worcester in Maine, who has a tree farm. And one year, in 1992, he had some extra wreaths. And he didn't know what to do with them. Well, when he was a child, he took a field trip to Washington, D.C. And Arlington made a huge impact on him, and one that he never forgot. So he said, you know what, I want to send my wreaths to Arlington. So he did. And so when you see those pictures of the wreaths at Arlington Cemetery, they come from Wreaths Across America. And it has just, it started with a few wreaths, and now last year in 2022, 2.9 million wreaths were placed across the country, overseas, and Puerto Rico. So Yeah, it's quite an operation, and it's moving.
Now, I'm thinking with that many wreaths, they must be outsourcing to other tree farms to...
No, they do it all there.
Still all from that one tree farm.
All there, yeah.
And if you haven't seen the wreaths, or they are natural. I mean, the only thing unnatural in the wreath is the wire they go on in the bow. Right. There's a red bow. It is all greenery from would be traditionally a Christmas tree. Yes. So they're handmade. Yep. And then they ship them to us in refrigerated trucks, so they're fresh when they get here.
They are picked up by so many different trucking agencies and then shipped all across the country. And then another trucking agency will pick them up. Like our wreaths last year were shipped to Mississippi, and I didn't know this until the day they arrived. And then someone, Big G, actually picked them up from Mississippi and brought them to Tennessee. So not really sure that they are in refrigerated trucks. Okay. I could being from the north, I could kind of tell there was a little, they needed to be in colder weather, but
right.
But they lasted. They lasted all. They stay on the cemetery for a month, and they were fine. They were even green when we picked them up.
And as I mentioned, for volunteer time, I know you had some help with Scouts last year. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is, a lot of people want to participate in the ceremony and be a part of it. As you mentioned, a month later, they do have to be picked up. So it's the same amount of ground to cover, and maybe a little bit more, because you're not dropping off what you carry. You got to pick it up and get it, bagged up or whatever. Yeah. And so where do those go?
Where do the wreaths go?
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, I'm trying to find a better way to do this. And if anybody has any ideas, please let me know. They're thrown away. Now, I would love to take them to a goat farm. Goats love evergreen trees. Mm-hmm. But here lies the problem, is the wire cage and the bow would have to be removed. Now, if I could find a group that would love to do that, I'd love to give them to them. You can have a burning ceremony. Don't really know where to do that at this point. So there's a few different options, but at the moment we're throwing them
So there's
away.
A couple ideas for folks out there. If you thought, well, maybe you'd like to get some wreaths to do a ceremony, or maybe you have goats. As Tracy mentioned, is we can't just give them to anybody, because they may be upset that it does have the bows and the wires in there. Oh, we thought you were just giving us greenery. So we need people that if you want to get them. With the knowledge of you getting that, or volunteers who want to remove the wires and such from them, and we can recycle the wire as scrap metal and give the greenery, even if it just gets composted. But I'm a big proponent of recycling. I hate putting things in the landfill. So hopefully we got some ideas there. Well, I'm looking at the clock here. We're coming up on a commercial break. Got us at a good stopping point, and we'll proceed from there.
On the 12th day of Christmas, Twin Lakes gave to me. Twin Lakes is celebrating their customers this holiday season with the Twin Lakes 12 Days of Giving Christmas Giveaway. Beginning Black Friday, November 24th, visit them online at twinlakes.net to get your name in the bag. There will be over 75 winners with names drawn every day. To increase your chances of winning, revisit and enter every day through December 12th. Winners will be announced on the Twin Lakes Facebook page beginning December 2nd. Learn more at twinlakes.net.
Looking to do some remodeling? Just getting organized? Consider donating your extra household goods and materials to the Habitat Restore. Not only will you be supporting your local community, but all donations are tax deductible. Our inventory is constantly changing. Our prices are well below retail, as well as one-of-a-kind items. Every day's another opportunity for a new deal at Habitat Restore. Pay us a visit at our new location at 560 South Jefferson Avenue, or visit our website at uchabitat.org.
And now, back to Insurance Matchmaking with Matt Libby Insurance.
All right, welcome back to Insurance Matchmaking. As mentioned before, I have Tracy Chamberlain with Caris Healthcare. She's the volunteer coordinator there, and we're here primarily talking about the Wreaths Across America that will transpire on December 16th, and we'll have a ceremony at the courthouse, and then disperse from there to place the wreath on veterans' graves at Cresslawn and Cookville Cemetery. Livingston also has their own group. So if you want to, as I mentioned earlier, go to insurancematchmaking.com and check out my the submit a question section. And if you need information on that ceremony, let us know. Tracy, what is the best way for people to either contact you or find out, online or whatever about the events?
They can either call me at the office or even my cell phone. The office number is 931-537-3430. My cell phone is 860-428-9634.
And it must be a Connecticut area.
It is a Connecticut area.
All right. Well, before we went into the break, you were looking for something you were hoping to be able to share, and it looks like you found that. So we'll go ahead and take that time. As I mentioned before in the first segment, being a veteran, this is something for veterans, but it's also a healthcare company, so that's definitely related to the fact that this show is about insurance. But I'll let you give us that history there.
Well, the wreath is made up of 10, they call them boughs, and they're just groups of evergreen that go into the wreath, and each bough has a meaning. Actually, the entire wreath has a meaning, but this doesn't give me everything. It just gives me the 10 boughs meaning. And this is actually even part of our ceremony. It's it's kind of a cool part of our ceremony. 1, their belief in a greater good. 2, their love for each other. 3, their strength, worth ethic, and character. 4, their honesty and integrity. 5, their humility, selflessness, and modesty. 6, their ambitions and aspirations. 7, their optimism for America. 8, their concern for the future. 9, their pride in their duties. 10, their hopes and dreams that didn't always come true, but left them with no regrets. So, and then the bow even means something, and the smell of the evergreen means something. I can't remember what they are right now, but yeah, it's quite symbolic. The entire wreath. So.
And it is a moving ceremony, to participate in. It's a great way to, we get so busy during the holiday season. Everybody's shopping and everybody's getting mad at everybody because of the traffic. This is a great event to kind of slow down and reflect and remember those veterans that, not every veteran in the cemetery is one who gave all, but it's still a remembrance that they served. And we're able to celebrate Christmas and holidays because of sacrifices they've made. So, I did 20 years in the Army. You're not going to hear me talk down about veterans, but, you don't have to be a veteran. You don't have to have a veteran in your family to participate in this event. It's just a matter, and like I said, this is only our second year. So if you didn't get to participate last year, this could become a holiday tradition for your family. It's generally, I'm guessing, I didn't look at the calendar, but that's a Saturday, the 16th.
It is a Saturday.
Yeah.
And it happens simultaneously across the country.
Right. So you can have that connection that that you are participating with everyone. That was one of the things my wife used to always talk about, that, she enjoyed doing communion the first Sunday of the month at church because she felt she was doing communion with everybody at all the other churches, because so many churches, that's their tradition. So end up building those traditions. And and guess what? This one doesn't cost you a bunch of money to bring your family. You can go to Dollywood and ride the Polar Express, or all those trains and things like that. In light shows are great. They're fun. They're great. But here's a family tradition with a lot of meaning. And the only thing it's going to cost other than time is if you elect to contribute. But it's not required. It's highly encouraged, of course.
Well, we can, and it always, even though our funds are okay for this year, it starts up again the beginning of December for next year. And you have
your account set up for whatever over what you need goes towards next year's. Then
I don't have it set up like that.
Okay.
I have it set up to where if we get extra wreaths, they go to another cemetery. For the year. So I just feel that it doesn't have to just be Cookeville City Cemetery.
So the fundraising generally, you restart that every fall then for that year's event?
It starts the beginning of December. Well, Actually, our cutoff this year is for November 28th for this year's wreaths.
Okay.
So December 1st, it'll start again for next year's wreaths. So
I know that's probably the only thing that's been kind of on your mind. Is there any other events or things that or something maybe you're struggling to get volunteers for now because you've been so focused on wreaths right now?
I actually have been very, very fortunate when it comes to volunteers. Caris we cover 8 counties. My office covers 8 counties. So there are a couple counties that we cover that I don't have volunteers from. They're more those rural counties, but I've done pretty well. And actually, I kind of went after the veterans a few months ago and got a couple of them to sign up. So that's where I really, really need volunteers, is veterans and patient care volunteers to sit with our patients. There's a huge need. The patients just absolutely love when these people come to visit them, because some don't have anyone.
Right.
Some are in nursing homes or assisted livings that don't have anyone. So they feel the need for that,
If you can kind of describe what some of those volunteers are doing, you talk about sitting with or visiting with your patients. Are there certain tasks that sometimes they get asked to do? I mean, I know they're not a caregiver, but what kind of a typical time spending with one of your patients?
Well, they cannot provide any care. So most of it is companionship, which I have some that will read to them. Some just watch TV. Some play games. Some sing.
Yeah.
Kind of what they leave it up to the patient on what their likes are. A lot of them just like to sit and talk about their life. You know, a lot of the veterans want to talk about their service.
Yeah.
I have a veteran volunteer that has been with Caris way before my time, so I think he's been there about 10 or 11 years. Jimmy Loftus.
Okay.
If you know
I
him.
thought when you said that, I was like, that
everybody
sounds like
knows
you're talking
Jimmy
about
Loftus. So he is, and he has just taught me so much. I mean, I thought I knew it all with the military with my dad, but no. So Jimmy has a patient that he goes and sees, and they love to talk about, this man's service and Jimmy's service and things that I think they even kind of overlapped at one point. So it was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much what they do. And some of them choose to do even big projects with them, like a legacy project, or something. So it's kind of the sky's the limit, as long as, it's no care involved, I guess.
Right.
Physical care anyway. But yeah, and it's not for everyone. It can be very sad at times. You get attached. In fact, Mr. Loftus, when he loses a patient, he kind of takes a couple months off, and that's okay. That's okay. So anyway, that's pretty much what we need. But like I said, I came into Caris with a really strong volunteer program. Gail Evans, I took her spot. She retired after 10 years. But she left me in a really good position. So
yeah, I've realized, you have to be at least 16 to be one of the volunteers. Do some people take their children along with them?
I have not had anyone do that. I'm not really sure what the rules would be on that, because I've never had that come up. But yeah, another thing that we do also, I forgot about this one, is pet therapy. If there's anybody out there who has a pet that can do pet therapy, I'm looking for that. I do have one of our nurses that just retired who is working on training her dog to do this. So,
okay.
But yeah,
I'd have a connection that I can help you with. You mentioned Jimmy Loftus. I'm a member of the VFW. That's where I heard your pitch last year to do the wreaths. So I hear those reports, every month when we have our meetings, and sometimes there's a sad report. It's like, I don't have anybody to visit right now. The two that I was visiting have passed. And he does a lot of them that are hospice.
Yes.
So it's like,
yes.
When they're hospice, you're not going to go see them
Right.
every day, and none of us are getting younger.
Right.
We just recently had one of our World War II veterans pass away at 101.
I saw that. I saw that.
Like,
yeah.
and I look at my mother. My mother was born in 1921, so a couple of years ago I realized, that would have been her 100th birthday, and we had her till 95.
Oh.
So my dad passed away younger than. So I lost I'm the youngest, but in some ways I had more time with my dad because when I was a teenager, my dad was retired, so he was home. He was there when I got home from school.
Okay.
So I had a lot of time with my dad that, my other siblings didn't because he was working at that time.
Right.
So I had maybe a better relationship with my father than my siblings, but that was the fun thing because especially I was in the Army when he passed. I'd joined right out of high school and had been in the Army probably around 3 years when he passed. And so a lot of times when I'd be overseas or across the country and the football game would come on Sunday and go, I bet Dad's watching this game, and then realize, well, he's not watching it on the TV anymore, or think, I'm going to call Dad and see if he's watching the game, and just those memories would hit me that way.
My dad passed away. Well, we moved here in February of 2020, right before the world went crazy with COVID. But he was looking so forward to moving here, and we actually have family in Dunlap. So it was his uncle and cousins are down there. So he was looking so forward to it, and then he ended up passing in August of 2020. Yeah. So it was just like, but one thing like with doing what I do for the veterans, he didn't get to see that, so it's kind of bittersweet to me. But I mean, right. I know he's up there, he's watching, he's so, but yeah. So I kind of do a lot of this also for him,
right?
Just, to keep his memory going.
Well, and the thing is, in coming from that military background, that you've got that service mentality, and that's one thing I noticed. Just like at church and stuff, a lot of the people who are volunteering to do things at church, or a lot of them are veterans because we have that servant's attitude, and that's a lot of us. That's why we serve, and it translates a lot into what I do with my business. I always say is like it doesn't always make me happy, but a lot of times I'll sit down with somebody and tell them that, hey, the policy you have is what you need to have. And I didn't make any money that day, but I know I helped somebody. So there is a little bit of reward there, but we like to get the ones where we get to write the policy and get paid too.
Yeah, I know. Because
it goes back to, because if I can't earn my living, I can't afford to help people either.
Right, to do what you do, right.
So it's great, and I think that's probably one of the things probably very rewarding in your job of, hey, I get paid to help people.
Yes. And sometimes I'd feel guilty about that, but yeah, and I do get upset when there's a veteran that I want to help and I can't help, and some things are out of your hand. So.
All right. Well, we're coming up on our time limit here, but I do want to remind everybody, hey, and also if you go to insurancematchmaking.com, there are links to the past shows are on YouTube now, so it's loaded as a video, but the only thing you see is one shot. So, but you can listen to past shows and maybe give me some ideas for my show. Till then, we've already pre-recorded the show for after Thanksgiving, but we'll be back live, or not live, but more current after Thanksgiving. And I'll see you there.
You've been listening to Insurance Matchmaking with Matt Libby, your path to health, life, and Medicare coverage with Matt Libby Insurance.